faces and be able to see each other face to face. So, Patrick, it's good to have you here. I know that you kind of rushed back in from the training. First of all, tell us how training's going.
Well, I'm out of breath because I literally ran back here to my home where I'm at now in my office. And wow, Eric, I tell you what, can I switch to me just for a second and show you a picture here? All right, let me see if I can find the one that I want here. I think this is it right here. Here we go. This is a picture I took. I mean, right before I left. I'm on the way back here. Is that showing?
Yep, I think I'm seeing it. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And so there's the class that's there right now. In fact, that's Jordan in the back. You see him kind of bending over there in the back. He's our director of operations. He kind of runs the thing there. And you don't see the instructor because I'm actually doing a video chat. Can you see it on the laptop there? Up front, we've got the laptop hooked up to the projector, and I'm doing a video chat with Dr. Vicki Rackner, who is on, as you know, Eric, our advisory board, and who is the co-author of the book that you mentioned there earlier. So anyway, just thought I'd show that to you, and I'll give that back to you now, Eric.
Very good. Let's see if we can get that, and I'll show my screen, and here we go. And
I see a few other people here that you didn't talk to about, and I'll just mention their names here. Monica, she's from Atlanta. Tim's from Tennessee. Matisha is from Colorado, and there's a Tim here from Houston as well. So anyway, welcome to all of you. It is a live webinar, and we do record these, by the way. So if you have a partner or spouse who is not able to be on this one today, just look for the email from us that will tell you a link to the webinar, and once it's recorded and posted, and usually the next day or so.
Yeah. Hey, folks, we want to remind you that this webinar is for you. And although that we've got a theme today that we're going to be talking about, which is about training, we want you to be as open as you want to about asking us questions. So where you typed your name in and everything, just simply ask us any questions that you would like to. So feel free to start typing those questions in as we speak right now. Patrick, tell me about these two guys that you've got standing, you're in the middle of.
Oh, well, I added these right at the last minute, or had you add them, Eric, because this was something that happened while I was doing that conference call with Dr. Vicki just within the last couple of hours. And the text came across from the guy that you see there on the left. His name is Justin Fitzpatrick, and he and his partner Daniel there came through training a few months back. And this is their first client that they signed up. He said they had a lot of things going on, but that using some of the methods that we teach about warm marketing and so forth and networking, they found a cardiologist that had 4 providers. So here's his text to me. Patrick, we finally signed up that cardiologist I talked to you about a few weeks back. We spent over 90 days working with their office, had several meetings in their office with several providers. You can imagine all the red tape involved in one doctor, right? And he says, but they finally signed up, and he says, we stand to make a minimum of $14,000 a month off of this first client. And we see it growing to $30,000 a month because they're adding some more providers. So
amazing,
that's a great client to have on your first
no doubt. Absolutely. And I remember these guys, and I've actually, I remember they would call me. I'd coach them on a couple of things. I think I actually did one of their demos for their doctors. So they're an exciting group. There's no doubt.
He said you did one of those live demos. And for those of you listening who don't know what we're talking about, we do demos of our cloud-based billing system and electronic medical record system for licensees like Justin and Daniel, and for you. If you join us as a licensee and come to our training, you are eligible to let us do those demos for you, as many as you want, no charge for that. And Eric, we're closing about half of the doctors that see those or more now.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick, if you think about it, let's. I know you like to kind of do this sometimes. I'm gonna see if I can do this properly. I guess I just stopped showing my screen, and we can just talk to these people one-on-one right here. Is that how the video will get blown up right there?
Yeah, there we're live and full screen.
I mean, folks understand what we just said, and I'm gonna give Patrick a little bit of the floor here. But imagine that you've got American Business Systems, 22 years of experience, helping you secure your first doctor and/or your third or fourth or fifth, or however many it takes. Patrick, you want to share with them a little bit why we do that?
Because that's really hurdle that some people have in starting a new business. Let's say you went out and you found some courses to take or some books and you decided you wanted to start your own medical billing business. All right? Now, we teach you much more than just doing medical billing, but we use that term because that's what people are familiar with. And let's say you got your business started and then you go out and find your first prospective client and they ask you about, how long you've been in business, how many clients do you have any references? That's a big hurdle for a lot of people.
Right.
Not for our licensees, because we teach them to position themselves as having been certified by the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. And that's the organization that Eric told you that I'm the chairman of. So the reason that's important is you position yourself as somebody that's a part of something that's nationwide, that has really literally hundreds of offices from coast to coast. And you tell people, I'm new in business. I just opened a local office that I want to help doctors, and I'm hungry, and I want your business. And that's what Justin said he did for this one to get his client. But we actually do the demos of our system so the doctor can see the technology. They're always interested in what's the latest technology that's out there. So we show that to them, and we answer all their questions. So all you do is you're just on there watching and listening and learning yourself about it, and we do all the selling for you. So yeah, that alone, Eric, that alone is worth $25,000, our licensing, right there, that one thing.
Yeah, and it's because that, it takes the fear out of, man, how am I going to answer all the questions that the doctor's going to ask about electronic medical records, or how do we collect more from Medicare and this, that, and the other. You
don't have to know about any of that. We answer all those questions for you, folks. So you partner with ABS. When you become an ABS licensee, and folks, we've been doing this for 22 years. So it's not like we just came up with this. This is something we know how to do. And you go through our live training workshop here in Dallas. You learn exactly what this business is all about. And literally within a couple of days, you are doing medical billing. You've actually submitted claims. Well, they're fake. But I mean, it's the same thing, because we're actually connecting you with laptops there in the workshop. And there's our instructor. We actually bring in an existing licensee who's been running her business for, what is it, Eric? I think she's been with 7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years, I believe so. That's correct.
Yeah. And so we have someone teaching the class that's out there actually doing it.
Right.
But Eric and I teach it, and some of my other staff, of course. But there's no need to hear from somebody that's theoretically in a book, because we don't do medical billing as a company. That's not our business at this point. Our business is teaching you how to do it, supporting you, and helping you to get clients.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's talk about day one. Now, day one was actually Monday, Patrick. We know that, and you just mentioned that day one they're going to learn some things. But I think one of the greatest things that they're going to learn, probably not taking away anything from the hands-on, but really about what medical revenue cycle management is about, and learning just everything about that, which brings us to things like medical terminology. I mean, some people don't even know what, maybe what an ICD-10 is, or even Medicare and Medicaid, how that works. But we're going to get all of that laid out there in day one. I mean, it's pretty. It's like medical billing 101 is what it is. It's just flat out learning technology, terminologies, and that kind of thing.
I call it it's your week-long MBA. We're going to give you a master's in business administration in 1 week. It's
right.
Condensed. Eric, go back to that previous slide about the revenue cycle management. Let me talk about that just for a second, because some people don't understand that it's not just sending out a claim and hoping that the insurance company pays it. We're going to take you through step by step the entire revenue cycle inside of a medical practice. Folks, that includes everything from the claims preparation to the submission of the claim, the management of the claim once it's been sent in, and then the reporting back to the doctor. That's all important to make sure that the doctor's getting every dime that they deserve. Believe me, lots of doctors are leaving money on the table every month because they don't have the right system in place, or outsourcing it to somebody like yourself. Dr. Vicki Rackner, again, who helped me co-author that book, when she was a general surgeon, she's retired now, she actually outsourced her billing. And right. She says, Patrick, that was the best thing I did, because she actually had a lady that when she came into the practice with another guy, they found out that this lady was actually committing fraud in the office. doing some stuff that she should have been doing. So anyway, they let her go and outsourced it, and she said it was the best thing we'd ever done. So anyway, that we're going to teach you in detail what that's all about.
All right, so we're going to talk to you all about that, but this is one of the key issues, and this is what I'd like to do real quickly, Patrick, and that is what we find what doctors are doing, whether they're doing billing in-house or whether they've outsourced it, they're still doing billing a conventional way, and that is they're using some medical billing platform, and then there's this middle person that's in the middle between the doctor's office or that medical billing company and the insurance companies, and that is this little part that we can see right down here called a clearinghouse. Now, think about this, folks. Every doctor's office and every medical billing company that's basically not used in American business systems, they're having to go through a third-party clearinghouse in order to get their claims processed by the insurance companies. Patrick, I think one of the most exciting things is that with ours, this is the key advantage right here. You want to tell them why that is with what we're seeing right here?
Yeah, for most other medical billing companies, folks, what they have to do is they have to batch all of their claims at the end of the day and upload them to what's called a clearinghouse, illustrated here in the bottom left-hand corner. Well, that's a third-party company that all they do is make sure that everything's formatted correctly before they forward that claim on to the insurance company, and they scrub it. That means they're checking for all kinds of errors because they have internal software that's written to check that. That third party is the big glitch, I would call it, Eric, the big flaw in most medical billing companies, because they're outsourcing that to a third party who then makes the decision as to whether or not that claim is going to get denied or passed through. With us, the buck stops here. We have our own clearinghouse. It's built into our system, and that's why we're showing it here as an integrated system, including the patient portal. I wish we had time to go into all of these things, but basically the iClaim is the system that lets you do the billing, and the EMRX is what the doctor uses. We're going to show some illustrations of some of these screens too. Yeah.
And one question before we go too far, Purvy's asking, can you process the claims for all the insurance companies on the East Coast, including Medicaid and Medicare claims? Absolutely. There is not a claim, Purvy, that you're not going to be able to not process with iClaim, because again, that clearinghouse that we have can process over 2,500 different types of payers: Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Medicaid, Medicare, all of those. So it can do everything.
Yeah. Hey, let's address Kevin. He says, does it help to have coding certification? Now, folks, he's talking about all those medical codes. You've heard of medical codes. They're numbers, that assign what the procedure is that the doctor's doing, what the diagnosis was. Those are just numbers that the doctor puts in to file an insurance claim. Kevin, if you had any kind of training in coding, it certainly wouldn't hurt, but it's not something that you have to, because our system has all those claims built into it. And besides, the doctor is the one who's supposed to be giving you the codes for you to file. Now, sometimes those codes are not correct, and we have a way to help the doctor with those codes where you don't have to be going through any training or know anything about the codes. Eric is showing you here what's called a super bill, and this is what the doctor basically circles those codes and gives that to you as you're walking out of the doctor's office usually. That is what we're talking about, those codes. You don't have to know those because we have all of them, including the latest ICD-10 codes.
Correct. Yeah, and then what happens is that we're going to give you, as you can see right here on this screen, hands-on training about how to take those claims and then process those claims right directly into the iClaim system. So imagine that on day one, you're going to have access, actually get into the system. Our trainer is actually going to have some worksheets for you to work through, knowing how to exactly input a particular claim. You're going to get right into it on day one.
This is the shocking thing for most people, Eric. Don't you think, when they come to training, that we have laptops sitting there the first day, and then we open those up. By the end of the day, they are actually doing medical billing. That's not the hardest part about this business, folks. The hardest part is getting clients. And we have figured that out after 22 years, but believe me, if you try this on your own, you have to know how to get past the gatekeeper, how to get to the doctor, and how to show them and convince them that you've got something that they should at least consider. And we've got ways of doing that, of course.
Right, of course. And so you can see right off the bat. And I think I love what you say on day one. You say this: if I had a doctor to give you today, who in this room would take it?
Right.
Without knowing how to process a claim, every hand goes up.
Every hand goes up. They all would say, yeah, I'll take it, because they know that they can learn how to do the actual physical, billing of the doctors. The big fear that people have, to be honest with you, in that class, everybody I showed in the picture a while ago will tell you, their biggest fear is, what if I don't get a client? The money that I've invested in this, I'm going to lose, right? Because, folks, you honestly only need the first client. After that, these doctors talk about amongst one another. If you're doing a good job for a doctor, they will refer other doctors to you, and your business grows organically.
One question Deborah's got, because you've got two questions there, Deborah. I see your questions there. Providers are doctors, and providers are anybody that actually provides medical services. And that could be like a chiropractor. It could be like a nurse practitioner. It could be a physical therapist. So really anybody that gives a medical needs for a particular patient. And I think, Patrick, I'm going to read this question because it kind of goes to Daniel and the other Jared, I think it is. If providers are who? Growing from 4 and up. Please articulate this to help us understand the implications of the big win for this new licensee.
Okay, so what he meant was, of course, is that this cardiologist's office has 4 doctors within that office. And so he'll start billing for those 4, but the practice is already looking to hire more. So as they bring on more doctors, of course, that's more claims, and it's more money for Justin.
Right. There you go. So it's just as the doctor grows the office, or they get a new provider, or basically a new doctor, that's what happens. And it just keeps increasing over a period of time. So sometimes what you'll do, you'll find that kind of a nugget where you've got a group of doctors that are kind of aggressive and growing their own business. And if you get those 4 doctors, on the iClaim platform and you're doing the billing, they're wanting to grow their business. They may be adding more doctors. Or what a lot of people don't think about is that they may even add a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, which either one of them can be billed for as a regular doctor. But it's great that, Patrick, I don't know how many years ago, but I think we made the right choice whenever we, on day one, said let's just get the people in there and show them that it's not that difficult to actually process claims.
Yeah.
So let's talk about day 2. Day 2 was actually obviously somewhat of yesterday. And again, what happens during this time is that Cynthia will actually kind of go through the previous day's information. I think she kind of does that every day just to make sure that everybody's understanding, because there's a lot of information that's being thrown at them in an 8-hour period.
Yeah, so folks, believe me, we do not leave any stone unturned. Every question that you didn't even think of that you should have will be asked by somebody. And that's why we take time at the first of every day to review the previous day and let people think about the questions that they should have asked. So we get all that out of the way the first thing every morning to make sure that every question is answered. That's important to us, that you get every question answered. And if it isn't answered during the class and you don't want to ask it, just come up to us at breaks or at lunchtime. We're all available there, the staff, to be able to answer your questions, during the week.
And then we get into the EMRX. Patrick, you want to, again, explain what EMR is?
Yeah, electronic medical records. This is something that the government has required the doctors to start using because they want to move from paper, everything on paper, to everything electronic. So as you see illustrated here, we have an electronic medical record system that runs natively on the iPad. That means that any doctor with an iPad can use this in their encounter with the patients. And that's why these buttons on this screen look like they're big buttons, because you have to be able to push them with your finger so that the doctor taps the buttons there to do what he needs to do to enter the data to get the claim over into the iClaim system, which is the billing system. This runs on an iPad, and on the next screen you'll see there you are. It runs on any computer. So right. The doctor can have a computer in the room that he uses, a laptop, an iPad, or a tablet that runs under Android or any other system. It doesn't matter. It's what I call system agnostic. That is, it does not matter. It does not care what kind of a browser or anything else that you're using. It just runs on everything.
Yeah. And then what happens here is that we have a live class demo of this. And this is, folks, remember, as a medical billing company, you will really never deal anything with the EMR, but you need to know this of what the important parts of it is. Patrick, I'd like to just really kind of showcase one thing here. Folks, if you'll see down where it's got the list of patients, you see Gary Cooper and Steve Smith and all these other names there. And besides their name, there is these little codes there, yellow, red, green, green. Folks, this EMR system, this electronic medical record system, is giving feedback to the doctor on one important part, and this has to do with how that doctor is going to get paid. If you'll see that yellow or red, that means that that person's insurance has been checked, and it has come back to say that there's a problem with that particular patient's insurance. So what that means is that doctor needs to tell his front office before Gary Smith leaves or Steve Smith leaves the office, we need to make sure that we get an updated insurance information and or we convert them to a cash pay. Folks, this is one of the first ones that actually gives this type of information back to the doctors. Because, Patrick, I mean, the doctors are not in business just to see people for free.
Right. They deserve every penny of what they've earned, and we can help them get that. Folks, we normally, most of our licensees increase the revenue for most doctors 20 to 30%. Imagine what that can mean when a doctor is doing $500,000 a year in billing. It's a huge amount of money that they're leaving on the table that you can bring to the table. So even though you're charging them a percentage of all the money that's collected, it's a very small 5 to 8%, somewhere in that range. It doesn't matter because you're going to bring the doctor so much more than that.
Absolutely.
So when you see this demo yourself in the classroom, you'll be blown away just like the doctors are when they first see us demo it, when we demo it for you. Hey, here's a question about the system. Ann's asking, how do you upgrade the software? Is it optional or required? And is there a fee to upgrade each doctor's system? Now, this is what blows most people's minds, Anna. This is a cloud-based system. It runs through a browser. Any browser will work. Any computer, Macs or IBM Windows computers, doesn't matter. And so every time you log into the system, just like you log in to go to your banking records, for example, you're using the latest software. We might have upgraded it overnight, and you'll see the new stuff on the first page, of course, if we've added something. But the great thing is you never have to worry about it being up to date because we make sure that you've always got the latest version that you're running. And then since no part of that software resides on your computer, it doesn't matter. You could be working on one computer and take a laptop to the coffee shop and work from there. It doesn't matter. You never have to worry about those upgrades. So there's no downloading and installing and all that stuff. It's all cloud-based, and it just blows people's mind when they first see and wrap their brain around that.
And I'll take that next question there from Orion. He's asking, is an iPad and is it an app or is it browser-based? It is a browser-based. That's a great question, Orion. You're really thinking ahead. It's not a watered-down app to where it's like what some of the EMR systems are. It's truly a browser-based, full-functioning EMR system, and that's very key of what he's asking because, folks, once you start doing your marketing with some of these doctors, you'll find out that some of these EMRs are just an app, and it's not the full version.
Yeah. So what he's talking about here, I'm showing it on the video for those of you who are live here watching this. Like on an iPad, you've got all these different apps that run, right? Well, you don't have to worry about downloading an app and making sure it's up to date. You simply go to your browser, in this case, Safari on the iPad, and you simply log into the site that we have for you to log into to get into the system.
Right.
Well, once you're in there, you're using the system. It's just hard for people to wrap their brains around this until they see it. And by the way, the doctor can access the system on his iPhone from the golf course and see what their schedule is for the day. It's that flexible.
It is that flexible. So great question there, Orion. All right, let's get into day 3. We're at the bottom of the hour. We got 30 more minutes left here, so let's see what we can do because we got so much more to go, and we've got other questions that we're going to try to get to here. But really, day 3 is, man, folks, we're really, really starting to get into it. As you can see here, I've been up there and showing a little bit of the iPad. And, doing some demonstration through there of really actually how the whole system starts working. But this is where we start to pull everything together, all the different services. Patrick, I know that most of the time when we do a webinar, we're really focusing on iClaim and EMRX, and we don't really get into the other services. So, but this particular day is that day that we're starting to do this, because this is the day of beginning marketing. You want to kind of express why we have all these other different services?
Well, actually, day 3 is where we actually focus on these ancillary services, which we think of them as marketing tools, right, Eric? Like you said, because they're door openers.
Right.
You don't need as much money on some of these others as you would doing the actual billing for the doctor, but it helps you get in the door. Sometimes they think their billing is under control, and they don't want to talk to you about that. No interest. But we've got other things that we can interest them in, because we can help them with patient payments. With the Quick Collect, we've got CodeWrite, which of course is a powerful web-based application that opens up a huge market for you as a licensee to offer coding support services to medical providers. You notice I'm just reading the slide. Medical charts are securely scanned to a coder's work queue for coding, and our certified professional coders do everything for you. So folks, this is why you don't need to know about coding. If there are problems or questions that the doctor has, you can provide that through our service called CodeWrite, through our professional coders.
Yeah, so we go through that, and then we go through this other part that's called Audit Guard, which is actually using the same certified professional medical coders. Yet this time it's looking and it's checking for errors, especially for Medicare. Medicare is the one that can actually really snap a doctor's cash flow pretty quickly, because of if they're over trying to get asked for more money with a particular code, and there's not enough notes in that doctor's notes, Medicare can actually come back and say, doctor, you didn't provide us enough notes, and you put this one code for this one price, and it should be this other price, so pay us back that money. And that's what Audit Guard does, and that in and of itself can truly be a great door opener as well.
So basically, you simply get a few sample charts, patient charts, from that doctor's office, provide it to our professional coders who go through that, and they come back with the reports that show the doctor in detail exactly what that doctor needs to know about where his codes are and what he needs to change and upgrade. That's on the next slide.
Yep. Oh, yep. We've got some charts there already. Thanks for putting that up there.
Then there's Quick Collect. Wow,
yeah.
Quick Collect. Doctors only collect about half of the money that they bill to patients. So guess what? We have a way of going back and getting that money from the patient. And no, there's no collection agency involved in this, folks. This is an automated service. It's all done through automated phone calls and automated emails and letters to the patients. And you don't have to do anything but just push a button and put them on the campaign, and that thing automatically follows up. We collect a huge amount of money from patients that would not have paid otherwise. If the patient really owes the money, then the doctor has the right to collect that money. And so you can make money on this service offering this to a doctor as well. Believe me, any doctor's office out there, they may be thinking that their billing's under control, but if you talk to them about their patient receivables, they're interested.
Yeah, and that's what ChoicePay is all about too. It's always, you know, some doctor's offices may have a very high, or the patients may have a very high deductible and need to pay that kind of over time. And ChoicePay actually helps them do that, especially with cash pay. But sometimes a particular procedure may not be covered with that particular insurance, and that patient still needs to get that procedure done. So they need a way to pay that out, and ChoicePay again is another door opener and way to do that. But Patrick, what about this iDocs Now? Because I know that we use that here at ABS. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, imagine all the paperwork that's now inside the doctor's office, as illustrated there on that laptop there. There's a picture of all those files that you see in a doctor's office. Those can all be turned into electronic documents so that the doctor and their staff can access those from any computer in the world that has an internet connection. And yes, it's all HIPAA compliant, so it complies with all the rules and regulations that the government has for patient privacy. But folks, we basically take the paperwork in a doctor's office and make it a searchable document online. And Eric, this answers the question from a lot of people. Well, how do you get that information from the doctor? Well, if they're still doing some things on paper, you don't have to email it or fax or anything like that. They upload it through this system. They scan it right into our system, iDocs now. You have access to that. You get to see it on your screen, and so there's no paperwork involved. We eliminate all that. It will save you tons of money. And yes, it is 100% HIPAA compliant. That's important for you to know that. There's a lot of systems out there that aren't. Oh, yeah. Hey, Eric, I got a couple of questions here about marketing from Shalita and from Ann. So y'all just hold on. When we get to the marketing section of this, you'll see that we cover all those questions there too. But I also see questions from Kevin and Samye and Deborah.
Yep, we've got some more to go over with them too. So day 4, so day 4 really starts the marketing, Patrick. And I know this is where we are, and obviously we can answer some of these questions as we kind of go through this, because we all know that anybody can start a business. They can have all their business packages. They can have everything that they need to do the business, but without a client, they're not in business. And until you start getting paid, you're really not in business. So
you would be amazed how many franchises and business opportunities that are started every day in America that the people have no clue. They may think, oh, I'm a great plumber, so I'm going to start this plumbing company, or I know how to repair things, so I'll be a handyman. But they don't know how to get a client. Without a client, you don't have a business. So this is what we focus on, folks, for about a full day of this 5-day workshop, is just marketing. We've developed these professional marketing tools that allow you to go out and do the marketing the way it should be done, where you don't look like you're somebody working out of your spare bedroom, printing stuff off on your inkjet printer. These are professionally designed and proven marketing pieces that we've got. Plus, we have other marketing tools as well. For example, these are actual greeting cards that are part of our automated system called AutoCard. And this system actually lets you automatically send out campaigns. That means you find a prospect or a client, you put them on the campaign, and 1 month they get one card, the next month they get the next, and it's all done without any intervention on your part. It's the most wonderful. Eric, I would have invented this myself had I not found this system, because this is the system that every business needs, not just our licensees. Automated follow-up to any kind of prospect.
Yeah, because the doctor may not be ready, like you've said in the past, Patrick. They may not be ready today to do anything, but it doesn't mean that they may not be ready tomorrow or the next day. And we know that because we did this own test marketing ourselves with some doctors here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that you and I actually kind of did our own test marketing, make sure that this worked.
That's right. And sure enough, it did.
It certainly did.
That's another story. Oh, and then sales reps. You know, some people don't like to do marketing at all, Eric. They don't feel like they're cut out for it or don't have time for it or whatever. So we actually teach how to find sales reps and how to interview those sales reps to find out the right ones, how to hire them. We have contracts already ready. We teach you how to train them. We teach you how to pay them. All that's been worked out, folks, and yes, it actually works. We have licensees that are out there building their business, and they've never done any sales or marketing. They've just used sales reps to do that. There are people out there who love to sell. I know you find that hard to believe. We actually had a lady in this class, a young lady, that says, I love to sell, and everybody looked at her like she was crazy.
Yeah, she certainly does. And the other good thing is that you can do these things called lunch and learns. And I know that some people might even be afraid to do that, but even if you've got another licensee that can help out with that, I know that we've got a lot of people that can actually do a basic presentation to a group of doctors.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a big group like you see there in that picture. Sometimes it's just the office manager and the few people that work for that doctor. We call it a lunch and learn. You bring them lunch, and they let you talk about your products and services. And you don't have to use a screen or projector or anything. You can just bring it on a laptop or an iPad. We have all those already worked out for you. We have several subjects that we teach you how to, talk about that. And then, of course, you leave them literature, and, you've made a connection there, and they now know who you are. You're kind of on the inside now.
Yeah. And for those that would want to be really adventurous, and again, I even saw on the calendar today, Patrick, that these booths are already out. But trade show marketing is incredible. Instead of you going to the doctors, you find a group where there's maybe a group of doctors already, they're going to come to your booth.
That's right. They come to you. You don't have to go to them. And although it does cost some money to do a trade show like this, We teach you how to find them in your area. They don't have to be medical trade shows, by the way. Doctors go to all kinds of trade shows. And when they see this booth that we've designed, we spent $5,000 creating the booth, you'll see that they come to you and they ask and they engage with you, they take your business card, and then you follow up with them. And if you do, you will get business from every trade show you go to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no doubt. Every trade show you go, you're going to pick up something. And then I know we've got some questions here. Before we get into the practice analysis, Patrick, you want to, maybe we've answered Shalitha's question about that, but now might be a good time to answer her question, and then we'll get into this thing called the practice analysis.
Yeah, she says, are we getting these contracts with the providers on our own? If so, we are doing cold calling to get these accounts, or are there leads that your company provides us? You know, this goes completely against everything that everybody knows about sales, isn't it, Eric? Because you don't need leads. The way we teach you to do this is you're going to find strategic partnerships within your community, people that already sell to doctors, people who do business with doctors that can refer you to those doctors. So we'll show you how to connect with even medical societies in your area, networking groups, professional networking groups, and chambers of commerce. There's all kinds of ways, folks, to go out and do marketing without doing cold calling.
Right.
And that's the scariest thing for anybody to even think about going, I wouldn't want to do that. You don't want to go door to door. You'll get a lot of doors slammed in your face. But there is a way to leave educational materials in the hands of the office manager to put on the doctor's desk. And so there are ways to connect. It's just completely different from what you think. As far as lists of doctors, we'll show you how to find all the doctors in your area. It's right out there on the internet. You don't have to buy a list of any kind. But yes, you are finding these on your own. So here's the difference, Shalitha. We teach you how to fish. We don't give you a fish. We teach you how to fish. That's what's important, is you know how to go out and get as many doctors as you want. But having said that, I will say this. Most of our licensees tell us, all I did was do what you told me to do, to go out and get my first client. And once I had my first client, the business just grew from referrals. That's how your business will grow.
And folks, if you had a list, by the time you get that list, and by the time we would get the list and then we give you the list, these doctors are looking for solutions pretty quickly. So by the time, because we actually did that, Patrick, you remember, we actually had some lists we were giving out to some of our licensees. By the time they got the list, those doctors had already made a decision and they're going, because a lot of doctors, you got to understand, they're losing money today. As we are on this webinar today, there are doctors in your community who are already losing money. So if they're looking for someone to do the billing already, believe you me, they are trying to get that resolved pretty quickly. So what we try to do is get ahead of that curve before they try to put their information in an internet search or some type of thing where there creates leads. We're gonna show you how to get to them before they actually do that. And Patrick, just real quickly, I'm going to go to this slide here, and as I do, why don't you talk real quickly about the new book, The New Thriving Practice, because I think that's really important here, because there's some licensees who have already gotten doctors just by using this particular book.
Yeah, we've gotten feedback from our licensees. Now, the book's only been out for a little over a month or so, and there are licensees who are utilizing this book. Folks, you buy it. By the way, it's out there on Amazon. You can go look it up on Amazon. The New Thriving Medical Practice. It's $24.95. Don't buy the book, for goodness sake. Come back to us and ask us. We can give you an electronic copy of it if you just want to see what it's all about. But the point is, you'll be able to buy that from us at our printing cost, which is $4 a copy. That's a pretty cheap marketing tool. And you put your contact information in the front of the book. We show you how to mark the book up with little tags and highlight different sections, so that when you hand that to the doctor, they'll open instantly to those things and read them, and it will motivate them to want to talk with you personally, because we're doing all the selling for you. Again, this book is a sales tool that does all the selling to the doctor, educates them to the point where they want to do business with you.
We know, Patrick, out of the last September class, which is the one right before this one, there's a young lady who that's all she used was your book, and I know landed at least 2 doctors.
3. He has 3 now, Eric. You're talking about Jennifer.
Oh, my. There's another one that's come around. My goodness. So, yeah.
So it works. And folks, we spent, it probably cost us $20,000 to research and write and put that book together. You don't have to spend that kind of money on these marketing tools. We've developed that for you.
All right, so let's talk about this practice analysis. So let's say that you got that book in the doctor's hands, they read it, now they look at you and they go, okay, Ann or Shalitha or Tim or whoever's on the call today, they say, now what? Now what do I need to do? Well, you can't, and I know what we already hear doctors ask, all right, so what are you going to charge me to do my billing? Folks, you can't put out a number until you do what we're about to show you right here.
Eric, we're looking at the practice analysis slide. I think maybe you have paused, maybe? I don't know.
No, it's right there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I was looking for the actual, this is the practice analysis itself, folks. It's just a series of questions that we've come up to ask the doctor or the office manager to find out whether or not they even need help. You can't go in and sell something to them if you don't know that they even need some help. And so we get that information out of them, teach you how to come back and put it into some software that we have that fills in these numbers and produces this report for the doctor, the practice revenue report. And as you can see, the bottom line, you've probably already looked at the bottom line on this one just like a doctor does. They look down at the bottom line and go, wait a minute, you're saying that you could increase my revenue by 17.8%? That's $26,000 a month. That's $321,000 a year. Now, it's not always that large, folks, but whatever it is, it's always impressive. And the doctors look at that and go, oh, hey, maybe I should give you guys a try. Because we're comparing this with what it costs them to do the billing themselves inside their own office, or if they've already outsourced it, we compare that, apples for apples. And you come out ahead all the time.
Yeah, I think we ought to make this pretty clear, folks. There are always operational costs. There's some operational costs that the doctors will incur utilizing yourself. But, folks, I want you to see this. One doctor was spending $3,500 a month just on software, monthly software and upgrades and support. That is not even close to what the doctors are being charged by you to use the systems. Right. I mean, it's unbelievable what doctors are paying and how much money that they're paying and really how much money that they're losing.
I think that is the biggest shocking thing to licensees when they go out there, Eric, is to find out that the doctors are spending this kind of money for people to do the billing in-house, and they think they're saving money or something, I guess, but it's actually much more expensive than outsourcing it to some company who has been trained to do this and does it not just for one doctor, but for multiple doctors.
Yeah, and with that said, that $3,500 is just for the software. This is what the doctor's paying right there for someone to do his billing. I mean, Patrick, that's what, $8,000 a month.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's unbelievable and incredible of really how much money the doctors are spending on just simple things like that. But I know we've already talked about the consultative marketing part of it, but I think this is the part you really wanted to show was after you got all of that information, now you're going to put it into a presentation.
Yeah, so what you're looking at here, folks, is a professionally designed folder on the left there. That's about, like a 12 by 12, 10 by 12 or something like that, that all of your proposal and pricing goes inside that. You can also put some of the flyers, as you see on the right there, in a pocket on the right-hand side. So this makes it very professional looking. Folks, we have all this already worked out. We will actually review these with you once you've developed one for a doctor and give you advice on it. That's part of what our lifetime support is all about, is to help you make sure that you're pricing things correctly, you're not overpricing it, but you're not leaving money on the table either. So that's just part of our service to you. Again, you don't have to. It's your business. You can do whatever you want to, but we're here to help you get as much money as you can correctly for your services.
All right, so day 5, and folks, this is a 5-day live training. It's 5 consecutive days, Monday through Friday. Although day 5 is about a half a day, we're going to show you what you learned here in this last day here. So again, you want to explain who this gentleman is up there in the front there?
Yeah, this is Chad Borland. He is our Director of Support, and he's actually covering a whole section on support. So as you'll see on the next page there, he goes through the support section, and then we actually go through what's called a jumpstart program. In other words, what do I do after all this information? Here's the end of the week. What do I do to get started? So we have a checklist that you'll actually be given, that you go through to know exactly what you need to do to get your business up and running. Now, some of those things you might have done before you even come to the training, but we've got it all laid out step by step so you don't miss anything.
Absolutely. And then here's another Jumpstart checklist here. Again, so you're going to get this and know exactly what to be able to do and how to do it. You'll already have all your marketing strategies, number one task of what you're going to need to do week 1, week 2, week 3, because Cynthia's going to go through that with you exactly what you need to be able to do. And then our support is as big as what we're seeing right here.
Yeah, we actually took that picture. That's one of our technology partners that supports our licensees. So, folks, we've got plenty of people to support you. Step by step, they can hold your hand through whatever it is that you need help with to get your business going. Remember, ABS actually makes money from our technology partners on the back end for all the claims that are sent through the clearinghouse. So we make money, you make money. It's a win-win situation.
And then we have our licensee support site. I think you got several slides here that you kind of want to work through here. So I'm just going to kind of go to the next one right in here.
Yeah, so on our licensee support site, folks, this is a private site that you'll have credentials to get into. We actually go through everything you need to get your business started under that first tab there. We cover all the services, that is, everything that we've talked about during this webinar is covered on the next slide. And those are all the services, step by step, that you'll need, all the marketing materials, all the videos. Folks, there's a ton of educational material and marketing materials and contracts and things under marketing, tools. We've got resources. It's just huge. You just can't imagine how much time and money has been put into this site. Eric, I've had people who've bought $50,000, $100,000 franchises that say that they didn't have this kind of support.
Right. And folks, just like I mentioned way up at the beginning of the webinar today, which said that every Wednesday we have this is called a licensee webinar. We have, a prospective, what you're on, a prospective webinar. Now on Fridays we host what's called a licensee webinar. And this is where we get to have those more one-on-one open mic type things where we're talking directly with you and from our licensees. And Patrick, I know you got this one up here again with Dr. Vicki Rackner. She's a great asset to our licensee base.
Yeah, imagine, folks, we actually have a medical doctor who can teach you how to get to a medical doctor. In other words, who better to teach you how to get past the gatekeeper, to get engaged with the doctor, what to say, what the doctor's thinking is inside their own head, and to actually market to doctors. That's what her specialty is right now, helping us. She also has her own consulting business, of course, helping other people like financial consultants and folks like that. But for us, she is the exclusive contact that we have for medical billing marketing. And this is just, we tried to cram all of them in one screenshot here, but it's not all of them. But it is some of the licensee training videos. We've done dozens over them over the past few years, and you have access to all of that on that licensee website there.
Absolutely. Now, as
before people start running off, Eric, let me just say this. I see about 6 more questions here. We're going to get to every question. We're going to stay on a little longer if we need to past, or at least I can, Eric. I don't know about you, but I can stay on a little past the hour, so we'll get to all those. So before we do, though, let's talk about the guarantee.
Absolutely.
Folks, and it's very important that people know that we don't want your money unless you are really convinced that this is for you. So the best way to decide about this business, I know this sounds strange because no other company does this, Eric, but we just ask people to do your due diligence on us, do your research, call some of our licensees and ask them questions and really feel good about your investment with us. And then if you come to our live training workshop here in Dallas and sit through the whole week, all 5 days, and you don't think this business is right for you, you can ask for every penny back. We'll give it to you. We don't hold it back. Now, you are out the money that you spent to get down here to Texas. We have a hotel that's going to cost you about $600 or $700, I think, for the whole week. But that's it. You're not out very much money at all to find out if what we're saying is real. It's either real and you really have the possibility to make a lot of money, or it's not. And if it's not, just get your money and go home. We'll still be friends.